Hi everyone, in this latest video in my series on the Hittites, we will briefly discuss the rise and fall of the Neo Hittites. Even though the Hittites had permanently departed from central Anatolia under c.1207-700 II around 1200 BC, the story of the Hittites was yet to be complete. It is possible that many Hittites, including the royal court, who left central Anatolia and Hattusa, may have moved to the relatively more secure and prosperous regions of their empire in southeastern Anatolia and northern Syria, centered around the once provincial capital of Carchemish. Though, based upon the lack of surviving archaeology and documents from the 11th and 10th centuries BC, little is known about this particular period of Hittite history. However, by the time that historical sources become more readily available, which are heavily dependent upon biased Neo-Assyrian records, the region had splintered into several smaller kingdoms, each centered around a major city. This latest period of their history is known as the Neo Hittite or Syro-Hittite period. Conflict between these smaller city-states was common, though despite this disunity, several different elements of their old Bronze Age culture remained well into the Iron Age, including the use of names for their kings like Laberna, Hattusili, Tudhalia, Suppiluliuma, and Muwatalli. Luvian hieroglyphs were still utilized in their rock-cut inscriptions, and many elements of their old religion, art and architecture continue to be practiced in some form for centuries after their original use in the Bronze Age Hittite Empire. This continuity is attested to by the Neo-Assyrians, who called these small kingdoms individually and collectively as Hatti, the name once used for the central Anatolian homeland of the Bronze Age Hittites. Several passages of the Old Testament mention the existence of the Neo-Hittites and their small kingdoms. In 1 Kings chapter 10 verse 29 and 2 Chronicles chapter 1 verse 17, the kings of the Hittites, along with other kings of Syria, bought chariots and their horses from King Solomon. 1 Kings 11:1 also records that Solomon married Hittite women, presumably to secure alliances with the various Neo-Hittite kingdoms to the north of Israel. Based on the Bible's internal chronology, this would place these interactions between Israel and the Neo-Hittites in the middle of the 10th century BC. A later reference to the Neo-Hittites after the time of Solomon can be found in 2 Kings chapter 7 verse 6, where the Syrian army abandoned besieging Samaria when they heard the noise of a great army, which they believed was an army of Egyptians and Hittites that the king of Israel had hired to help lift the siege. This verse implies that even though the Iron Age Neo-Hittites were not as powerful as their Bronze Age forebears, that they were still considered, at least to the Syrians, a force to be reckoned with. The end of the Neo-Hittites, and the end of the Hittites as a people, came about with the rise of the Neo-Assyrian Empire. As the Assyrians extended their empire westwards towards Syria, this brought them into increasing conflict with the various small Neo-Hittite kingdoms, and over time each of these smaller kingdoms were conquered by the Assyrians. In particular, in 717 BC, the city of Carchemish, the most powerful of the Neo-Hittite kingdoms, was captured by Sargon II, and with this act the Hittites effectively ceased to exist as an independent power in the Near East. This was then compounded by the Assyrian practice of forced deportations and resettlements that helped to dilute and eventually erase the once distinctive Hittite culture that had survived since the early Bronze Age. These two factors effectively brought about the end of the Hittites, and therefore the time of the Hittites had finally come to an end. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe for more new videos every second Friday.